right, if you just joined us, you're still on to Enterprise, more weekend coming from Enterprise Television. Let's get to our conversation for today. In a turbulent times, Nigerians look to leaders not just for governance, but for compassion. In Benue State, a land still bleeding from years of violence, displacement, and insecurity, one would expect empathy to flow freely from its highest office, especially when that office is occupied by a man once sworn to serve both God and humanity. But recent comments attributed to Governor Reverend Father Hyacinth Alia reportedly warning Labour Party's Peter Obi to stay away or visit at his own risk cast a disturbing shadow on what kind of leadership Benue has inherited. The irony could not be sharper. Reverend Father Alia, once a spiritual shepherd under the Catholic Church, is now at the helm of a state in deep pain. Yet, rather than opening the gates to any show of solidarity, he seemingly chooses to close them, not out of security concern, but political loyalty. We still have with us Mr. Obe Oluwa Taiwo. Thank you so very much, Mr. Obe, for being here. We truly do appreciate you.
All right, good to be here.
Thank you. Now, of course, this is not new to you. When it comes to the Christendom or the religious sect, we have always been advised not to leave politics to others, but to get involved in it. So we can, of course, do the change that we expect that will be done. Benue State is one state that had the opportunity of having two Catholic priests to govern them as executive governors. And today we have a Reverend Father Hyacinth Alia who is there. And for those who know how these people operate, compassion is one of those things they work on more than any other thing. But I'd love you to speak to the case of Hyacinth Alia asking Peter Obi, who is on a humanitarian visit to Benue State, not to come or visit at his own risk.
This is a very dicey situation. And we must very thorough and deep in looking at the situation at hand. Governor Hyacinth Alia, being a Reverend Father, Benue State being the football basket of the nation. Now, Benue State has been one of the most productive states in Nigeria in terms of agricultural productions and products, talking about yams and the rest, and a lot of agricultural produce that emanate from that state, feeding more than 20 to 30 millions of Nigerians on a daily basis. So Benue State is very critical to the economic development of Nigeria. In as much as we are looking at the political space, there were some killings recently in Plateau and some other states, and also in Edo State. All right, and some of this security challenge, Benue State has never had a fair sharing in all of this. Why? Because of various attacks here and there. In as much as that it is, the governor has the immunity and the security rights to do what? To protect the lives of citizens and their properties. He has the constitutional rights. He has the legal backing, being the chief security officer of the state, according to the law of Nigeria. Now, Peter will be visiting Benue State as a result of various security challenges and the rest. Now, one thing we must understand is that a presidential candidate visiting a state and a particular humanitarian leader visiting a state, they are two things entirely.
Former presidential candidate. Former presidential candidate.
Yes. Yes, I know. I know it's former Labour Party presidential candidate.
Yes.
Well, since they have not chosen another one,
yes.
so some of us is still the presidential candidate.
No, he is not. No, he is not. He's actually not.
All right. Okay, you can contest that in the court of law. Apparently, I'm not in the area. All right. But beyond that, when a politician, a political leader, a political figure is visiting every state when there is security crisis, it's totally different when a USAID official is visiting that state. There are two things entirely.
Please, what's the difference?
It's not the same thing.
What is the difference?
There are two things entirely. A political figure.
Yes.
Why didn't you visit when there were no security challenge? Why are you visiting when there's security challenge? Why are you crying more than a bereaved?
But you only visit a doctor when you are ill. You don't visit a doctor when you are fine. So him visiting Benue State is visiting at the right time.
That is not totally true.
Visiting at the right time.
Totally true. I totally disagree with you. You don't visit a doctor only when you are sick. You visit a doctor periodically.
All right, I think we'll have a little bit of a glitch there. I just sincerely hope that Obe would come on board, because it is becoming very interesting with our discussion. And we were talking about the little rift between the executive governor of Benue State, Reverend Father Hyacinth Alia, and his refusal of Peter Obi visiting his state on a humanitarian purpose. It's still Enterprise Weekend. Please don't go anywhere.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Alright, if you just joined us, you're still on to Enterprise Weekend, reaching you from Enterprise Television. And just before we conclude, it's very important that we state here that either as a priest of God or a good politician, both vocations are a solemn call to service. The corporal works of mercy is what it is, which are as follows: feed the hungry, give a drink to the thirsty, clothe the naked, shelter the homeless, visit the sick, visit the imprisoned, and lastly, bury the dead. All of this becomes essential to the identity and mission of any great leader. These acts are not just charitable suggestions, they are rooted in a symbolic teaching, like whatever you do to the least of my brethren, that you do unto me. It's strongly believed that when a priest distances himself from these works of corporal works of mercy, for example, by ignoring the suffering communities or acting in ways that alienate the vulnerable, he strays from the heart of his vocation. He becomes a bureaucrat or a political figure rather than a shepherd. At a time when Benue is grieving, displaced and bleeding from insecurity, one would expect leaders, especially those with a priestly past, to welcome any voice of concern or comfort regardless of political leanings. But when empathy becomes politicized and human suffering is filtered through party loyalty, we are left with a governor, not with a priest, but with a hardened politician. What message does this send to the victims is the question. That healing is partisan, that solidarity must be approved. The tragedy here, ladies and gentlemen, is not just in what was said, but in what it reveals. When politics consume the pulpit, the people lose both their prophet and their protector. That's all we have for today. Love to say thank you to Mr. Obe Oluwa Taiwo, the Executive Director of Africa Bridge Initiative and HR and Media Consultant, for being our guest for today. And most importantly, I'd love to say thank you to you for making this picture complete. We truly do appreciate you wherever it is you've watched from around the world. Please do well to visit us if you may. You can always find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.